welcome all of you to this hybrid seminar on academic writing organized by the Publication Committee of the OPA. Chairman of the Publication Committee, Engineer Plagiarism, and all others at the table. It gives me immense pleasure to participate in this webinar organized by the OPA Publication Committee, which is one of the very dynamic standing committees. We thank the organizers for the timely action taken in this regard. It is my pleasure to warmly welcome the erudite speakers, Professor Nalin Abhisekar, who is joining us online, Dr. Dylan Pihera, and moderator, our own Dr. Lalita Negul, and all of you, ladies and gentlemen. We professionals sometimes like this skill of professional writing. It's a very important soft skill one should acquire. Lacking this skill is a very serious situation as professionals. If we cannot transmit our professional knowledge by way of writing to others, it is a serious lapse on our part. As editor of the OPA one time, I do observe this situation. I am sure the present editor too must have realized this situation. That may be the reason for organizing this webinar. I urge the publication committee to consider organizing more of this type of programs for the benefit of the professionals in the future. Enjoy the webinar. Thank you. Over to Engineer Plagiarism, the Chairman of the Publication Committee.
Thank you, President. Good evening, President of OPA, Engineer Chandra, Secretary, and past President, Vice President, ladies and gentlemen, and committee members of Publication Committee. It's a great pleasure for me to stand before you to speak few words about this webinar. Publication Committee, our intention is to deliver the professional voice to the society. Many tools to deliver it, such as newsletters, e-newsletters, journals, and other publication matters. It contains professionals articles from association members and other professionals. Last 5 years, I was involved with the preparation of newsletters, letters, and journals, and identified the necessity to organize this type of webinar. This type of webinar enhances the academic writing skills of professionals, especially young professionals. So our committee decided to organize webinar on article writing as an annual event. Outcome of this session will be published in upcoming newsletter. To mark today's webinar a success, we invite Professor Nadine Abesekar and Dr. Nidanti Herat as the speakers. I warmly welcome both of you on behalf of the publication committee. Today, moderator is Dr. Lalita Meekoda. She is the convener of publication committee. And Dr. Lalita Meekoda is a senior lecturer and the head of the Department of Nursing and Midwifery, Faculty of Allied Health Science, University of Jawaharlal. She was the immediate past president of Graduate Nurses Foundation and vice president of OPA few years back. She graduated from the Open University of Sri Lanka and obtained her master's degree from Adelaide University of Australia and doctoral degree from University of Jawaharlal, Sri Lanka. Currently, she is the convener of Publication Committee and Career Guidance and Skills Development Committee of OPA. And she is in the editorial board of the Journal of Health Sciences and Innovative Research, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, University of Sri Jawaharlal. She has many academic publications in scientific journals and many communications in national and international scientific conferences. Also, she is supervising PhD, MPhil, Masters and undergraduate researchers of the students who are undergoing research studies related to nursing in different universities. She has membership in many national and international associations. So, I wish to hand over the procedures to this moderator of this webinar, Dr. Lalita Meekoda. Dr. Meekoda.
Thank you, Chairman, Senior Upadhyaya. President, Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka, General Secretary, Attorney at Law is Mr. Abesekar, and Treasurer of OPA, although they are not physically here, but immensely helped in organizing this event, and all the other office bearers of and past presidents of OPA who attend physically or online to this webinar. Welcome all of you again warmly to this webinar. The eminent resource persons we have today are Professor Nadine Abesekar, Professor in Management Studies, Head Department of Management Studies, Open University of Sri Lanka, and Dr. Nidanti Herat, Senior Lecturer, Department of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, University of Sri Lanka. Webinar. On behalf of the OPA Publication Committee, we warmly welcome both of you. Publication Committee of OPA publishes OPA newsletter 4 times per year and a journal twice a year. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to publish e-newsletter as well from last year. As you all know, if we publish anything, we cannot get it back. Therefore, we need to enhance the standard of our publications. Through the membership of OPA, all the members send their work or news to publish in OPN publications. So we thought to enhance the quality of the publications in terms of skills and academic writing, to clarify how we need to maintain the quality of our publication using writing skills and writing ethics. To deliver the lectures, we have two eminent resource persons on the head table who have wonderful qualifications to aware us on this area. The first speaker is Professor Nalin Abeysekara. Professor Nalin Abeysekara, Head Department of Marketing Management, Faculty of Management Studies, Open University of Sri Lanka, is a graduate from University of Sri Javatanpura with BSc Marketing Special. Professor Abeysekara is a fellow member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK and a consultant with over 15 years of experience. He is a senior lecturer for strategic management, marketing, and research methodology, with research and lecturing exposure in Canada, Dubai, Singapore, Oman, Qatar, and India. He is serving as a visiting lecturer for MBA for leading national and international universities based in Sri Lanka. In 2018, Professor Abeysekara has been awarded as Outstanding Asian Educator by the International Association of Scholarly Publishers, Editors, and Reviewers. Professor Nalin Abeysekara is author or co-author for many international journal articles, conference, papers, and books. Furthermore, he is serving as a reviewer for many international journals, including the Journal of Services Marketing, Journal of Management Development, Journal of Applied Research in Higher Education, and the International Review of Research in Open and Distributed Learning. He is the recipient of 3 gold medals for his performance in his degree of Masters from University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. Professor Abeysekara, in his attempt to socialize knowledge, has contributed many articles to leading magazines and national newspapers in Sri Lanka on current issues covering economics, education, and tourism. He is serving as supervisor for PhD students in management and marketing. Professor Abeysekara has been featured extensively in TV programs to lead and moderate discussions related to entrepreneurship, education, and issues on children. He has also served on many panels such as PhD Colloquialism, Media and IT and Tourism. Currently, he is serving as Editor-in-Chief of the Sri Lanka Journal of Management Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, let me please join with me in welcoming Professor Nalin Abeysekara, who is the first speaker of this webinar today. Over to you, Professor Nalin Abeysekara.
Thank you very much, Engineer Shanta Senarath, President, OPA, Engineer Upali Javadana, Editor, OPA, Chairman, Publication Committee, and Dr. Mrs. Lalita Migoda, the moderator, Senior Lecturer and Head, Department of Nursing and Midwifery, University of Sri Javadanapura, and Dr. Dilanti Herath, the Senior Lecturer attached to University of Sri Javadanapura, and all the participants. So we will discuss about one of the very important presentation, important session on academic skills and all. So people most of the time they ask several questions. So why you need to have sort of a knowledge on academic writing skills and all. So this is all about like the discipline in our life. So maybe we are driving, maybe we are walking on the road. We need to maintain certain disciplines. So academic writing skills also I considered as one of the very important discipline which we need to understand, and more importantly which we have to inculcate. So that is one of the very paramount important factor, especially comes under article writing and all. So as a editor-in-chief in Sri Lanka Journal of Management Studies, so already last 2 years, so we have published 4 volumes, a biannual journal. So we, with our experience and all, encountered certain like positives as well as negatives with different authors, then different reviewers, and more importantly, nowadays we discuss about the predatory journals. So likewise, there are many things we need to discuss. So I will first start with small ice breaking. Right? Small ice breaking. So here we are talking about something on fascinating brain facts. Right? So here, while awake, your brain generates between 10 and 23 watts of power, or enough energy to power a light bulb. And also, a study of 1 million students in New York showed that the students who ate lunches that did not include artificial flavors and all did 14% better on IQ tests than students who ate lunches with these additives. Especially now we are in the COVID situation. Our children, they have to concentrate at home. So we need to always understand about the repercussions, psychological and physical repercussions. Then again, every time you recall a memory or have a new thought, you are creating a new connection to your brain. So every time, say you recall a memory, or you are going to have a new thought. So you are going to create a new connection. And also, the average number of thoughts that humans are believed to be experienced each day is 70,000 human being every day. So we have 70,000 thoughts. That's why most of the time we discuss about the value of mindfulness and meditation. So, some countries, especially Western countries, so they have certain sessions, even in their MBA lectures, even their PhD sessions, they have sessions, specifically designed sessions for meditation because of this. So in order to concentrate, so say you are writing a journal article, to get published for a quality journal will take more than 6 months time. You should have good tolerance level. Then if you start to write something, so I considered writing is an art. You need to have a science, you need to understand science on it. But definitely there should be an element of mindfulness. Then what is this academic writing? So here we have a small definition. It's a clear, focused, structured, and backed by evidence. Its purpose is to help the readers understand it. So in academic writing, we disseminate knowledge. So whatever the journals we write, we are going to disseminate knowledge. We are going to add knowledge for the existing domain of knowledge. So that is really important. And there are some characteristics of academic writing as well. Some attributes, some characteristics of academic writing. It planned and focused, which means answer the question and demonstrate an understanding of the subject. It should be coherent, structured, written in a logical order. So I have seen sometimes, so before talking about the research methodology, straight away after the literature review, you start to discuss about the final conclusion. The discipline, again, is really important. Evidenced, the demonstrator's knowledge of the subject area supports opinion and arguments with evidence and is referenced accurately. Referencing is really important in academic writing. Maybe you are following Harvard style, maybe you are following the Chicago style, maybe you are following APA style. So that actually, like different reference styles you have, you need to be very clear. You have to be very concerned about what is your reference style and you have to follow that. Formal in tone and style. You have to use the appropriate language and tenses, and it's clear and it's very concise and balanced. So these are the characteristics of academic writing. As I clearly mentioned, so this is an art. So writing in a newspaper is different from writing in a book, and it's different from writing a journal article. I think 12, 13 years back, I have written a newspaper article on Muttaya Muralidharan. I compared Muralidharan with Bradman. So the title of that newspaper article was Murali as Bradman of Boli. So I started to write Murali we considered as Bradman of Boli. So we have to analyze the statistics of Muttaya Muralidharan. So even though we put so in the newspaper article, in the journal article, we don't put such jargons. We have to say, you have to put something like hence, because that particular segment is totally different. So in newspapers, you are targeting for layman. In journals, if you are writing for marketing, so I am serving as a reviewer for some journals. So we need to understand this different segments. The tone is different. Even books, yes, same. The language is really important for us to understand. Then what is this formal writing voice? Usually we say, do not use first person's pronouns in writing. But there are some contradictions also I can see. But usually, I, me, my, we, us, we don't use, especially in academic writing. And also I have seen sometimes in the abstract, our students, they write, as you know, you need to understand, you have to address, avoid addressing readers as you. Then what is this? Colloquialism. You should avoid using colloquialism. What is this? Word or phrase that is not formal or literary and is used in ordinary or familiar conversation. Especially the new generation. We are talking about, I myself belongs to generation X. The people who were born in 1980s and thereafter, they belong to generation Y. Then we are millennials, generation Z. So they always like to use some abbreviations. Right? Once we complete the SMS, usually we put Budu Saranai or God bless, but they put BS. Even in articles, assignments, dissertations, I have seen some students, they put stuff, kind of, guys, big deal, freak out. Don't use that. So they comes under the category of slang language. So you have to avoid by using that. So you have to write formal language, that discipline you need to maintain. And in the referencing, so yesterday also, I can remember one of my students asking me, so what is this et al? So he even searched from Google also. If you refer the article, especially in citation, if it is more than 4 or more authors, you have to put et al. Assume you have 4 authors, Abheshekara, Gunatilaka, Jayawardena, and Liyanagi. Then you have to say, according to Abheshekara et al. 2018. You don't put all 4 names, all 4 surnames. So these are the best practices you need to inculcate. Et al. Means in Latin and others. So this is one, like road signal. If you're driving, you need to understand. And here you can see the discipline. So this is one of the classic examples. Customer pursuit. The luxury hotel provides superior value compared to standard hotels in the areas of reputation and quality. Therefore, how they combined. The Wu and Land acknowledge that high quality of service. These 2 authors study indicated that in addition, also again indicated that. So likewise, once you read more, you have to read, you should understand the pattern and rhythm. Different journals, different journal articles, they have different writing styles. If you don't read, I don't think you can embed the proper idea about writing. You should practice reading, then only you can develop the idea of writing. So that is very important. Then most of the time scholars, they are asking a question. So from where I should get the articles? Is that from Google Scholar? Is that from Emerald? Gesture? Or IEEE Explore? From the Copernicus? Usually for a layman, you go to Google and you search. But for academic, number one, you can go to Google Scholar. Unfortunately, in Google Scholar also, there are certain articles, there's a problem of reliability and validity. As a chief editor, I know to get published for a quality journal, it will take 6 months. But now everything being commercialized. If you want to get published for some journals, some Indian journals are there. Today you write, after 2 weeks, they send, congratulations, your paper has been accepted by 2 blind reviewers. You have to pay $300. But Google Scholar, unfortunately, you can see that sort of articles. Because of that, we advise to use one of Emerald. We considered as one of the best database for management. Gesto, yes, one of the best for social sciences, IEEE and Appendix and all. You can use for the engineering and everything. So it depends upon the certain criteria and certain expectation. Especially if you want to see whether your article or whether your journal is accredited one. This is one of the example. You can refer in Australia, you have ABDC, Australian Business Deans Council journalist. Or else you can go to ERA ranking in Australia, Excellence in Research for Australia. But in European countries, they have this ABS ranking method. Right? So these are the accredited databases you can go through and see. Because I'm very concerned about the reference list. Even in my area, management and marketing, by looking at the particular journals, I can just mention this journal is a quality journal or not. So even if you cite something from a journal where it's not good in that much of good in quality, then your credibility of the sources might be problematic, that you need to understand. And also keep in your mind, nowadays we have these predatory journals. Then most of the time students ask us, so from where we find out these predatory journals is very difficult. We have a good best practice to be followed. Bellish list. You just type on Google Belly's list, you get the blacklisted journals, publishers, standalone journals and all. That is the best thing you can do to just, like, if you have a suspect article or journal, just type that, not the journal actually, you can't type the journal, but the article, the particular name of the journal. If you just type the article, I don't think you will get. But if you can get the name of the journal, definitely you can just go to Belly's list and see if it's blacklisted. Don't get that cited because there's a problem of credibility. So you need to be very concerned about these quality journal articles in academic writing. Right? So predatory journals, we have to opt it out. So that is very important. Then what is referencing? I think I already communicated. Maybe Harvard, maybe APA, maybe Chicago. Some universities, national universities in Sri Lanka, they follow Harvard referencing. But some universities, yes, they have APA style, American Psychological Association. But some UK universities like London South Bank University, they have Harvard LSBU, Harvard London South Bank University, or else Harvard Coventry University. There are small slight changes. You need to adhere to that referencing guidelines and all. Your reference list should be A to Z, and you need to follow certain guidelines. You should know how to quote, copy, paraphrase, summarize. So everything you need to learn. But once you go through a few articles, quality articles, then you should have an addiction to read quality articles. I will tell you again, there should be an addiction for you to read quality articles. So here, this entire thing, one of the reference list I have taken from an example. So this is not the way you have to put the reference in. Don't put Wikipedia. No Wikipedia, please. In academic writing, to your knowledge, to get the knowledge, you can use your Wikipedia. Academic writing, no Wikipedia, please. So this is not the way you need to write certain referencing. You should follow. So this one is a best practice. Unless this is something we are accepted, you have to follow the basics, ethics and discipline in referencing. So here you have a good reference list. The way you have to follow, like, cite the books. So here, this is not a book. I think this is a journal article, maybe a book. So here you have certain books and journal articles. So you need to, like one example, surname, comma, then the initials, the year of publication. So here you have the name of the book, then again publication house and all. So everything you need to be very much concerned about, even small dot. So that is one of the best practice you should inculcate. And also, I will tell you, you have to always avoid plagiarism. I think the next presenter will discuss more on the plagiarism. So that is not ethical. So what you need to understand, especially in referencing, most of the time people always tell, like, academic writing and all, it's very easy. So whatever the time you are going to write a journal article or you are going to write the book, so it's a matter of writing something. So what you have to understand, the practice is very important for your life. If you don't have a practice for your life, then definitely you will be having certain problems. So whatever the time, say you want to write an article for a journal, number one, assume you are writing something on article, the entrepreneurship practices in pandemic situation. Number one, you have to select what sort of journals which I am going to select for writing this article. So if you assume you have an article, then definitely you have to refer this. Most of the time I just tell my students, go to Emerald. That is a good database. Or else entrepreneurship related articles, the list of articles you can get from ABDC, Australian Business Deans Council. Here you have one Excel sheet. So you have more than like 40 pages, more than 10,000 journals, or else ABS. Then you have to read few specimen in that specific article, journal. Unless they have slight changes in the way they write. One of my PhD student in University of Moratuwa, first lesson, I myself with Dr. Dinesh Samarasinghe, we supervise. So we have given him a first lesson, not to write any article, entire 1 month to read the journal articles for one of the journal. Lesson number 1. Because you can't get instant noodles, right? 25 articles you need to read, Excel sheet, what is the name of the article, name of the journal, research problem, main literature and main theories, methodology in brief and main findings, a small Excel sheet. So then definitely will practice. If you don't practice, then you are in trouble. So that you need to understand. So especially if you are writing an article, so even in the organization setting, you want to get certain statistics. Sometimes you want to get the statistics about Sri Lankan economic indicators. Sri Lanka, what is the contribution for the services sector for gross domestic product? You can merely say, in Sri Lanka, according to the statistics, the services sector contributing for 58% for the GNP or GDP. You can merely just mention like that. You have to say, according to Central Bank report 2019, 58% of the contribution of the GNP coming from the services sector. Citations are really important. You can't just say last 25 days, 623 people been died from the pandemic. You have to put the proper source. If you put last 200 days, 2,222 people died from the pandemic within bracket Wikipedia, you are in trouble. There's a problem of credibility. In the research, we are very concerned about the reliability and validity of the research. Don't use Wikipedia. No Wikipedia, please. So these are the basic disciplines, your language, how you are going to follow the references style, what sort of journal articles you are going to refer, and also have a good network with the professors in different countries, participating for the international conferences. So even for the OPA, I think in coming years, we also willing to help for the organization. So we can have a quality work, because the association between professional, like associations like OPA and universities, we are always talking about the particular collaborations, synergy. People start to discuss about the synergy means 1 + 1, it should be 3, not 2. So we always willing to help we as academics, so we can have collaboration even with the OPA, and we'll see how to come up with the maybe good publications, because I always believe in my articles. I am writing for the newspapers, especially some selected newspapers. I always believe in PhDs yes, for the academics. But in Sri Lanka, to measure the quality of the country, if you're really moving for the development, Sri Lanka, we need more people with the PhDs and DBA from the industry. I always write, I considered more industry, more people who are in the industry with DBA, Doctor of Business Administration or PhDs, we have to consider it as one of the key performance indicator for the country. The professionals with PhD and DBA who, to measure the key performance of whatever the developed nations, people, professionals like you should, like equip with PhDs, DBAs, and with good quality publications. So that is the basic things I just want to elaborate. But I think after the next presenter presented, so we can have our Q&A session. So Dr. Dilanti Herat, she will discuss about writing ethics and publication ethics. So after that, we can have our questions and answers. So thank you very much again, the President, Engineer Shantha Senarath, then Engineer Upali Jayawardhan and Dr. Lalita Meegoda, and especially Saman Handiarachi, he actually invited me to make this presentation. Thank you very much. Thanks for all for your courtesy and the cooperation. Thank you.
Professor Nalin Abeysekara, you highlighted that the aim of the academic writing is to make the readers understand. Yes, whatever the message we give to the public should be identified by them. And also the ethical aspect of it and how we can improve our writing skills into it. Need to be considered by the writer. And also you highlighted that how to do better citations and how can we do referencing where and how to use or how to find an accredited databases. Those things were highlighted by you, and also very important thing. As you said, Professor Nalin Abeysekara, there are many fake journals which requesting articles from academics, so that or professionals. So that the message we have to give here is please be careful with the fake journal. But the OPA journal, actually you can publish any article in the OPA journal about your academic work without any fear. Now, thank you very much, Professor Abeysekara, for spending your valuable time with us today. I request from the physical and virtual audience to ask or send your questions from him at the question and answer session we have at the end of the two sessions. Now let me introduce the next speaker, Dr. Dilanti Herat. Dr. Dilanti Herat graduated from the University of Colombo with a BSc Pharmacy First Class Honours degree and obtained her PhD from the School of Pharmacy, University of Queensland, Australia. She has been in the university system as a lecturer since 2007 and currently working as a senior lecturer at the Department of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences of the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, University of Sri Lanka. She is a researcher in the field of pharmaceutical sciences. She has many publications on her research area. She has 129 citations since 2016. The current H index of her is 8 and I-10 index is 6. In addition, she serves as the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Health Sciences and Innovative Research published by the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences of the University of Sri Jawaharlal. He will discuss about writing ethics and publication ethics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Dilanthi. Over to you, Dr. Dilanthi.
Thank you, Dr. Nigoda, for your introduction. So good evening, all of you. So I'll start the presentation today. Writing and publication ethics. So, Professor Nadi Nagesekara explained about the academic writing. So, I will explain about the ethics that we have to concern during writing and publication. First of all, we'll see what is the publication. So, publication is something that we present or we use to give the information to the public. So, it disseminates our observations or findings to the others. So, it will give a lot of information to the community, either policymakers, researchers, manufacturers, educators, and so many other categories. So, therefore, when we publish or when we produce our information to them, so we have to be very careful. Of course, when we publish, authors will get the benefit because they will get the credit for the publication. And also, we have to make sure the information that we want to give is accurate, is ethically accepted by the society. Therefore, whenever we write and publish our findings or information, we have to consider about ethical standards very critically. Ethics. So you all know about ethics. So it is branch of philosophy that used to study about the human behavior. So let's talk about this right and wrong behavior for the benefit of the individual and the society. So whenever we take the decision, we have to look at the benefit, whether it is right or wrong, it is good or bad, just or unjust. So all these things need to be considered. So because once we publish, it is with the community. We can't take it back, especially due to this online publication system. So these things are available. Once we publish, many people can have the access to those information. So if we find all misleading information, that can be create a big problem. So therefore, when we publish, we have to report our findings honestly and accurately. So that is very important. Whatever we publish, we need to have a better understanding and we have to write it accurately and honestly. And also, not only that, we have to be careful. We should avoid all these careless mistakes. Therefore, before we write or publish, we have to review our work very carefully and critically and see whether we have done all this correctly, ethically. Should provide the information, way of giving the information, whether this will harm the society or how we can correct the society. So all these things need to be critically and sharply analyzed. And also, whenever you write, you need to have all the records with you. You can't do like that may be available with that person and may be available with the department, with somebody else. No, you need to have everything available with you. And also, before we start, it's the author's responsibility to read it very carefully before the submission to maintain the accuracy of the document. If you look at, I will go on to the writing part. Writing, what the facts that we need to consider, because consideration regarding manuscript writing. The first thing is we have to write a title. The title should reflect your work accurately and adequately. So you should not try to get some very interesting words and try to get the attraction to the article that may give false information to the reader. So it should be accurate. So always we have to consider about the accuracy and the quality of the work. The other thing is about the authors. Who are the authors? So those who made a significant scientific contribution to the research of the particular work, the manuscript should be included. So we should not forget anyone who made a significant contribution, as well as we should not include who did not contribute, or the we call guest authors or friends should not be included. So we have to be honest. And also, we have to decide the order of authorship. If there are a couple of authors, so we need to talk with them. Normally, first author is the one who did the higher amount of contribution for the work. And also because that sometimes when we talk about journal articles, this reference inside. So if the first author's name is used. So therefore, the person who did the most of the work is considered as the first author. And then we can arrange the order according to the contribution they made. And most of the time, the supervisor will be the last author, but can change according to their views. However, so we need to have mutual understanding, because once we submit, we should not change the authors or order of the authors. We need to have a clear understanding about our contribution. And also, it is very essential to get the approval from all the authors. We should not put somebody else's name or the author's name without their approval. If the corresponding author or who submit the manuscript should allow all the authors to read it and also get their consent, their approval to include their name as an author. Then we have to write the methodology and results. So as we said earlier, we have to write it accurately and also explain clearly, and also we analyze scientifically. Those information you have to write accurate. You have to mention actually what you did. And also, you should not mislead readers and either suppress or exaggerate information. Right? You should write it as it is and should produce the information very clearly and should be able to understand by the reader. And also should avoid fabricated data and false data. It is very sad to say. So some of these things totally unacceptable. Data fabrication is the researcher did not actually perform the study but used made up data that is completely unethical. And also changing data also not acceptable at all. So we should not entertain or even think of this sort of unethical practices. So if the work need ethical approval, that need to be indicated when we write the article, that need to be clearly mentioned. And also, you need to have the certificate, ethical clearance approval with you. Whenever necessary, you should be able to provide to the editors when they request. And also, we have to provide clear information about this ethical approval, from where we got it and when, and the ethical clearance number. All this information should include very clearly. Some research, we have to collect confidential data. So when we collect confidential data, so we have to get the information after getting the consent from some occasion, or it could be the data collection procedure. So we should respect anything that has been purchased with confidence. We should follow guidelines on protection of sensitive information, because sometimes we can't disclose this. We have to protect this. If we do that, it can harm somebody else. So in ethics, we think of the benefit of the society, individuals. So therefore, when we collect data, we have to keep them with us, and also when we write them. So we have to present it in a manner that should not affect the confidentiality of the participant or the study group. And the citation. So we have to provide accurate. This is one of the areas Professor mentioned. So we can see lot of problems. Sometimes the references are not accurate or incomplete. Now, if the author, if we have to write the author's name correctly. If it is not, so that the reference is wrong. And if there are one or two authors, so we have to indicate it clearly. And if there are initials, if there are 3 initials, you have to provide all. And also, the reference should have the relevance to the particular statement. We have to look at. So, the relevance of this, whether you can say whether this is the appropriate reference for that. That is also important. And also, if you submit an article for a journal, it's your responsibility to look at the style and work accordingly. The most important thing is we should understand what is the reason for providing reference. Readers should be able to trace the information from going back to that particular source. So then we have to provide information that should allow the reader to find that particular source and read for further information. So if you want to do that correctly, so the readers won't be able to find the original or the reference. Right. So then we'll see what we have to think when we do. Once we prepare the article, now next step is publishing. What we have to consider. We should avoid duplicate publications. So these are actually very bad, unethical processes. If a paper structurally overlaps with another paper which is already published without clear visible reference to the previous publication, we consider as duplicate. Always our manuscript should be original except certain situations. There may be occasions that we need to have duplicates. In those occasions, we need to inform your editor and visibly we have to display that. We have to display that, or we have to inform that the reason, and we are republishing an article. So if we duplicate, it's a breach in the copyright law, against the ethical conduct, waste of limited resources, because we publish two places for the same thing. Provide inappropriate weight for a single article, for a single study. You can get two publishing two journals. So those things are considered as unethical practices. So there are a few instances when republication is acceptable. But if we republish, we need to have proper disclosure to all individuals, authors, so editors and the readers. So sometimes we have to have this document in different languages. Or we have to use it in different locations. So there may be some occasions, so then if we have to do it physically in acceptable manner. And in case now we have published, and later the journal because identified this is already published somewhere else. So then they can take many actions because we have that the person has done a mistake. So what they can do? So they are normally inform the editorial board and inform the authors as well. Apart one journal and another party in another journal. So it is not ethically accepted. So then you can mislead the people. They might think these are as separate work. And also, self-plagiarism can be detected because maybe the approval process, methodology, data collection process of the board publications are same because they did under one work or one project. And also space period time increase the author's, but it can increase the number of citations, but it's an unethical way to improve your career. So we had always considered not the increase the number of citations or number of papers. It is also important, but always we have to do it by maintaining the quality of the work. Always we have to consider the quality of the work, not only the number of publications or number of citations. Multiple subjects. It is unethical to submit the same manuscript more than one journal at the same time. So as Professor mentioned in the previous session, it takes quite long time to get the process. Once you submit to accept, it takes around 6 months, sometimes more than that. So we have to wait and see. We can't say, it's already 6 months gone, I should submit to another journal. No, we should not do that. It's not that. So then if we submit, then another set of reviewers have to go through it. It is a waste of time to editors and the peer reviewers. And if it's published in two journals, it's not good for the book. So therefore, once you submit, you have to wait until you get the reply or the answer. If you can't wait, you can say, I'm going to withdraw the article. You can withdraw. But without doing that, you should not submit to another place. And also, when you publish, you have to respect for intellectual property. Respect copyrights and patents and other intellectual properties. No plagiarism at all. If you need to use any published data, you should always ask for permission and you have to sign it properly. Since plagiarism is very critical, you can identify it. Now, there's actually so many plagiarism detecting softwares are available. So now editors, they check. So plagiarism is the use of previously published work without consent, proper citation, or acknowledgement. It can be intentional or unintentional, but it is not acceptable whether it's intentional or unintentional. Once you do the same thing, so they will be considered as plagiarized. So always try to your own words. So if you want to say something, don't copy the same sentence from another journal and paste it. So please stop copying and pasting. You can read the paragraph or the particular statement and then get the idea that you can write, and also you must put cite that particular reference. The reference should be clearly mentioned because you got that information from another article that need to be mentioned. And if possible, nowadays actually we all have access to these software packages. So authors should be responsible to run their manuscript through plagiarism detecting software before submitting to a journal. Because sometimes there may be several authors. So they write, especially if it is a junior person can involve in writing or whatever. There may be a couple of people. So then, if you are the corresponding author, you are responsible. So we should check the plagiarism. In paraphrase, we must properly cite the original source. If we take something, if we take the same, if we use the idea, then we have to properly cite. And if you want to use illustrations, figures, then you have to get the permission from the journal or the publisher. So just citing is not adequate. So we can't use just copy a figure or table from somebody else and put it into your article. It's not acceptable. Conflict of interest. Any potential conflict should be declared. So to prevent attribution-related bias in research. So, what is this? Why we have to declare conflict of interest? Because it can affect. If you have any conflict, it can affect the research file. If we declare, the readers can understand it. So we have to be honest, and we have to declare if there are any conflict of findings. Right. So summarize what we have to consider with writing and publishing. So before publishing, we have to write. Then we should not fabricate or manipulate data. Strictly avoid plagiarism. And also, we should avoid ghost or gift or guess authorships. That means if somebody is sitting next to you, we should not actually ask, can you please include my name into your journal? No. Right? We should not. And no duplicate, redundant or multiple submissions. And about the authorship, decision about the order of authorship, we have to do mutually, provide correct references. And also we have to declare whether the research work has been published previously. And also we have to declare the conflict of interest. So these are the basics that we need to consider. These are the common mistakes that we identify with articles. So therefore, first of all, we have to be honest, because whatever information we provide to the society, to the people, they will take it. They use this information. Our findings will use for their research work, somebody else's research work. So if we provide false information, so then the others may also be in trouble. And also, sometimes our findings will use for decision making. Whatever the information we provide to the public should be accurate, and also should be before published, we have to follow up all these critical considerations. So that's all about this ethical writing and publications. We can move to, if you have any questions, you can raise in the questions and discussion session. So before that, actually, I would like to thank Engineer Shantha Senara, the President of the OPA, and Engineer Pali Devardhana, Editor of the OPA, and Dr. Lalita Nikoda, the moderator, and the head of the Department of Nursing and Midwifery of the University of Devardhana, for inviting me for this event. And also, I hope with the Professor Naveen Abhay, so with his presentation, it made me easier to go through this, go through with my presentation. So thank you, Professor, for your contribution as well, and thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Dilanti. You highlighted that honesty is the best policy in publication. And also avoid careless mistakes. And you described that need to reread is important. Yes. When considering the articles we received published in OPA publications, in newsletter and in OPA journal, we have found that there are good articles from professionals, but there are negligence due to those mistakes were done due to negligence. So the best advice we can give here today is before submit your articles, please read and read it. And also include references. Always include references at the end of the article. And also you mentioned that how to maintain the data confidentiality in publication. And again, there was a discussion that even about republications. Even in OPA journal, there are republications, but we should know how we can maintain the ethical aspect of it, and how we can maintain the quality of that article when we do the publication. And again, how to avoid plagiarism. You very clearly explain about it, how to avoid the plagiarism. Those are very important aspects of publication. So that I think we have many important points, many important aspects of ethical publication by academics and how we can improve our writing skills and how we can maintain academic writing ethics in our publications. Now you can use when you are writing articles and submitting articles to publishing OPA journal and OPA newsletter. So thank you very much, Dr. Dilanti, for being with us today and delivering very interesting and valuable speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a massive round of applause to both speakers. Now we have to come to the end of 2 sessions on academic writing. This is the time for Q&A session. You can ask any clarification on the area they covered over to the audience. And you can raise your hands if you have any questions, then we can unmute your microphone.
Dr. Vigoda, there's a question in the chat box. So,
about this getting information permission. So this is for the mainly for the illustration and figures. So other than we can cite, we can use the information. So but if we use figures, so we should not use the same figure without the figure. And actually this information, most of the journals, they have these guidelines. So they indicate all these things. Before we submit, we have to read these author guidelines very carefully. So all this information which are for reputed journals. So they have a checklist. They mention about all these apart from the requirements. So they double check. They provide the information what are the guidelines, and also they have another checklist to double check whether authors have followed the guidelines.
Okay, again, there are a few questions from the audience. One is publishing an article in 2 or 3 newspapers at the same time for better publishing by the same author, not recommended? I think you have given the answer for that question.
Yes, I think it's the multiple publication.
Yeah. With the better explanation and
Yes, that means we should not publish the same thing in different places. So then we have to mention that this has been already published. We have to inform the editor about this. Yeah, but even the same person, we have even some when we publish. So they ask whether this article has been published in some other journal or in other conference. So then we have to provide clear information about it. We should. The main thing is we have to make aware these editors or journals about our previous publications.
The issue is that, say, in a conference, you present your research and what is the journal, and some reporter who is at the conference, he can go and public the newspapers without even the knowledge of the person who spoke. That kind of situation can happen. So, what do you say about that?
But That means that we can't publish somebody else's work. That is unethical.
You know what I mean is even we have seminars here.
Right.
And people speak and somebody comes from the press and he so and so said this. Sometimes they little distorted news also they put, but let us say they put exactly what the speaker said. The speaker may not know about it, whether that is in order is the question.
Actually, that is, I think you mean that the OPA.
Any conference, somebody speaks and the press people are invited and they digital listen that they can go and in the paper so and so said these things or whatever the content.
For instance, we try to do that in OPA as well. Speeches done in the OPA, we prepare a summary of that conference and we try to publish it. But before do that, we have to prepare a proper document. And also we need to get the permission from the speakers of that conference. If they are okay with the publication, we can do that. If the speaker say not to publish it, we cannot do that. We need the permission from those speakers. That was already published in the public, especially among the OPA members. But anyway, if we think now OPA is the professional organization, if the OPA thinks that this is very good to the other public as well, not only for this limited public, but it is good to know by the other members of the public. Then with the permission of those speakers, we can do that. But that permission is very important. And also we cannot publish it as our own publication. That is another aspect. We have to give the proper respect to the speakers.
I have two questions. Can I ask, please? First one from the lady that is how we tell people to go to internet and research workers or even anybody get information from the internet. Sometimes a person can say a medical health condition, they can say I have this problem, and then the treatment and so on, what to do and all that you can get from the internet. But the only thing is you said that when you go to Google or internet and search engine and search, sometimes that information may not be accurate. It can be false. So what is the sort of, how can one verify whether this information is correct or good or bad?
So then we have to go to this reliable search engines. So that is actually challenging, like selecting a proper journal, avoid fake journals. So we have to go for these proper search engines, acceptable search engines, and first look into those things. And also sometimes now when you go to internet, like Wikipedia, the reliability, accuracy is less. So that's why we can't accept some of these the internet information given in the internet. Who will give the assurance about the accuracy? So therefore, always try to get the information from a reliable source.
Can I ask a question from the other speaker? Is he available?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, my question is now he mentioned that our brain works at a certain voltage and 10 or 20 watts power is generated, and also we get about 70,000 sort of thoughts every day. Now, what I want to know is now if a person works too much till late in the night and does maybe instead of 8 hours, they do 16 hours of work. There are people who work like that. Now for them, this energy in the brain will get exhausted and run out of gas. So there will be some grave consequences. There have been people who have been working a lot under a lot of pressure, and they have even got into psychological conditions. So what is your response to that? Can the other speaker?
I think
Is it-
Professor Nalin I'm there.
Said that he will be there at the question time only. But otherwise, the other lady can answer that question. If you are familiar with the subject or Professor Nigoda.
Professor Nalin actually that is out of the both speakers area.
What speaker said is about the brain power and the number of thoughts you are getting. So on that, I'm asking the question.
Problem is she is not there.
All right.
Anyway, as you said, when we work more than 16, 17 hours, there may be exhausted brain. Even I saw in an article, every day our brain is trying to refresh us and try to wash out all the toxins from the body by 2 a.m. I don't know, I didn't do any study on it. 2 a.m. But what we are doing is we work maybe till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. But the body cannot, then the body cannot wash out those toxins. There are certain things like that. I think better to explore about it more than what we discussed here. There are problems with if you are working, especially after 2 p.m. Around 2 p.m. the brain is trying to do something like that. There's another question. Copying information from public websites. Is it permitted?
Yeah, I think that Professor also explain about the same thing. So one thing is our website, the problem is the accuracy. So some information actually we can get like government websites. So if they publish like WHO website, they have the official reports. So then we have to cite it properly, and also we have to cite the link. We have to provide the link, and also we have to mention this online, and also we have to mention its access on which day. Those information provided, but strongly recommend to minimize. Sometimes we can obtain, like especially with the several reports are available from certain organizations. We as reports we can obtain those. Then, if it is a reliable source, we have to mention about the website link should be provided, and the access date need to be mentioned.
And also there's another question. Any punishment for plagiarism? What action can the original author take? Any legal action?
Plagiarism actually, according to my understanding, we have to in writing inform to the particular authors, and also as I mentioned, is detected. Journal can inform the others of the editorial board, and also can inform in writing to this authors, organizations, their workplaces. Particular phases that depend on the journals that vary according to the organization or the public journal. But actually, I'm not aware about the legal actions. Much about
They have right to visit.
it's, yeah. Even after may have downloaded, they may have printed. So then after that, but if the journal can make aware others, they can make the awareness, mention that this has been that this is a plagiarized document. That message can be given back to the public.
First of all, we must thank for the speakers, Professor Nagin and the Professor Idanti, accepting our invitation, and it was a very good speaker. I have two questions. One is actually we spoke about ethics. I think ethics, and you can use some specific list of specific ethics. It is very important for us to publish in our journal, if possible. That is one information. The other one, for example, OPA, we publish two journals fluently, so that we get the articles from number of the associations. And for example, last journal, we had I think more than 20 articles from the various authors. Then finally, actually, we released that journal as a publication of OPE. And who is the owner of that journal and who is responsible for the information of the journal?
Journal can take the copyright permission that we can provide the copyright statement to the author. So they have a mention about this. This information should be given to the author. So this is what is the author should now be certain journalists. They ask the author to give the copyright permission to the specific journal. So then the journal keeps that ownership. Or otherwise, it's actually according to the journal. Even our journal, it says it's the copyright of site taken to the university. So that's why it says copyright at the bottom. Normally in all articles we can see at the bottom states that gives the copyright information.
Now, Professor Nalin Abhishekar is there. I think you can raise the question and Professor Nalin Abhishekar is there.
My question is, hello, is it there?
Yes.
Fine. Now you mentioned that the brain works at a certain, has a certain amount of energy and power and all that. And also for a day, there are about 70,000 thoughts that the brain gets. Now what I'm asking is, now some people work maybe not 8 hours, 16 hours for a day and exhaust their brain. So this power will not be enough to for them to carry on like that. So will the brain get exhausted, and also what are the consequences? Some people, I know some people who have been working too much under pressure, they have become psychological patients later and got into they have to go for such treatment. So it is because the brain cannot sort of take all that all that work. You mentioned this in your first part of your lecture.
Yeah, actually, I just mentioned that because most of the time, as I clearly referred, so people start to like having a different pattern of thinking. So where in my session also I mentioned the average number of thoughts that human are believed to experience each day is 70,000. So what we really talking about? So we start to discuss about the stress, even the problem of the socialization in the pandemic scenario. But if you're really talking about the researchers who are involved in with this the socialization, the stress factor, even sometimes people are talking about the psychiatric problems like certain specifically some psychiatric problems like social phobia. But as a solution, most of the time we have seen people start to discuss about the mindfulness, right? So that is actually like we are talking about mindfulness as the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we are doing, and not o- overly reactive or overwhelmingly by what's going on around us. So unfortunately, even though we are talking about 70,000 thoughts we are getting, so most of the thoughts are not directly related to our proactive whatever the measurements. So what we need to do, so one of the study done in US, especially in school children, per day they have been given 5 minutes meditation session twice. Only 5 minutes meditation session twice. Ultimately, after 3 months time, they came to know where the cognitive skills of the students, the interaction of the students, and attendance for the school of the student being increased. So with the like emphasis of our religion, so what we need to understand, these are the basic qualities we have to inculcate to have a responsible citizen for the country. So thanks for raising that question. Any other questions?
I think that's all, Professor Nalin. Thank you very much, Professor Nalin Abhishekar and Dr. Gilanti. Now we have come to the end of the today's webinar. Over to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Nicola, for this webinar. Now the time for the hand over the spoken to the both the speakers. I invite President PA Engineer Charles Tegra to hand over the token of presentation to the Dr. Gilanti Hera. So thank you very much, Professor Nalin Abhishekar. I will send a couple of applications to your university. And now we have the last item of the agenda is to vote of thanks. I wish to invite General Secretary Kritika Secretary of Law to deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Pami Chawadana, Chairman of the Publication Committee. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka to all those who have helped make this event a great success. First and foremost, our sincere thanks to the distinguished resource persons, Professor Nalin Abhishekar, Head Department of Marketing, Faculty of Management Studies, the Open University of Sri Lanka, and Dr. Dilanthi Hera, Senior Lecturer, Department of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, Faculty of Allied Health Science, University of Sri Lanka, for their presentation and valuable for giving their knowledge to us. Thank you very much, sir and madam. I sincerely thank Engineer Upali Javadana, editor and the chairman of the Publication Committee of the OPA, for organizing this webinar on a very important topic for all of us, for the professionals and for all the participants. And I appreciate the efforts of the members of the Publication Committee in organizing webinar and for their valuable input. Thank you, Dr. Lalita Migoda, convener of the Publication Committee of the OPA, as well as the member of the Executive Council. Thank you for your contribution as the moderator and the efforts that you took in organizing this webinar. Also, sincere thanks to President Engineer Shanta Sandra, President-elect, Treasurer, and the office bearers, Vice Presidents, past Presidents, members of the Executive Council, and the Forum of the OPA for their guidance and the advice given in organizing this webinar. Thank you very much to all of you all. Last but not least, we would like to thank Mr. D.N. Seniviratna, Center Director and the staff of the OPA Secretariat for their support and assistance in making this webinar a great success. Thank you to all the participants who are physically present here as well as online. Thank you very much for your patience and for attending this webinar and for your valuable input by asking all the questions, and we all of us benefited from that. Thank you very much and good night.